DJ! I'm the fucking DJ!
Right, got interrupted there a wee bit, but
listen, I'm just having too much fun with this shit.
What I was talking about was, I was supposed to be talking about my prep for doing the Gralic route again at Gatehouse. Right, check this, right?
I'm unique! Woo!
Yeah.
One-handed. Again. And it's gonna just go through that, what I do, my little ritual, or my little, not even ritual, well, yeah, what I do.
I'm more rave than Bez at the Happy Mondays. I did the whole Outlaw King on 0 drugs. Come on! Yeah!
But then I got off topic and I was talking about sort of,
How the fuck did I manage that? If he's got any questions, yeah!
mentors or sort of authority figures from back in the day. Come on, big man, come on.
Look at this state of you fucking fat bastard, you fucking fat cunt!
Come on. Come on. And as the great Joey Diaz said, I was watching a Rogan podcast and he was talking about this, he was going, it got me thinking, right? He said,
You know how I contributed my heart and soul for that film? Yeah! And then when I came back to Dumfries, all I needed to do was walk up the high street just being me and I felt like a fucking king!
it's amazing when you look back at the time certain people say things to you and at the time you go, fucking hell, that kicked me in the balls, I didn't like that. And you look back and you go, how much did they actually help me? Come on. I like the music. Yes. I like the music. You know, when I was kind of, so you look back and you go, a lot of folk did actually help me. When I was like early teens, I would go to the club, cycling club. It was Gordon Johnson's house, and we'd all train in his loft or whatever, and he was like a kind of sergeant major type, really no nonsense old school guy who would just tell it like it is. You know, he wasn't very sensitive. He would just say, you know, what are you doing, and and have you done this, and put your hat on, and are you thinking about what you're doing, you know, like really quite, he was tough. But looking back, as I say, you go, that helped me, you know. And also my driving instructor, right? My driving instructor was a former sergeant major of the army, a guy called Jack Oakes. Probably, well, he will be retired now, but he was, again, I had him when I was like young and I was struggling with like personal grief and stuff, and you go, fucking hell, I really struggled to deal with that at the time. It was like, but looking back, you go, he fucking lifted me up, because he basically taught me the whole kind of man up thing, you know. It's not easy being a man, you know. You like struggle with all this shit, and you've got this guy basically telling you, just really blunt and to the point, telling you to, you know, because he was, like I say, was sergeant major from the army, so he was a no nonsense kind of guy. He was funny as well, but he didn't take no shit. And we'll get into the different things, but. And there was also Terry from up the road. He was a bit like that as well. Looking back, I'm going, I had a lot of courage. I remember, it's not long after my dad died, right? And I used to see this guy, Terry, and he'd be walking. I knew of him, I could have seen him, like, oh, he's into cycling. And then when my dad died, I think I was kind of not right in the head. I was probably looking for a father figure. Looking back, and I remember seeing him walking up and down the street, and he just had this walk. You know what I mean? You know when you see somebody walk and you go, that guy knows the shit. The way he was just walking with such control and kind of presence and authority. He just looked like a kind of don't give a shit, don't dilly gaff type guy. In a good way, nice guy. But again, you could tell that he'd been around the block more than a few times. And I think subconsciously I was looking for something because I was kind of struggling. So I remember walking home. I was near Park Farm, and I actually befriended him. Like, this is a young 16, 17-year-old boy. befriending this older guy that I don't even know just because I saw him sort of cycling and everything. I'm like, basically because I think I needed some guidance, and and the courage it took to do that. I'm looking back going, and I was starting to talk to him and everything, and I made the effort to befriend him, which looking back was a bit weird, but it actually helped me. And then we spent a lot of time cycling together. He's helped me with the bikes, and it was a beautiful wee mentorship and all. And then I went on and did other things, but as I say, you look back and you go, the number of people. There's another thing was I was struggling on the dole at one point, and I was kind of like last chance saloon guy, the guy that wouldn't do anything. And they're like, oh, so I got to the point where they would put you on. They put you on. I was that low in the system that I had to be put on one of these, sort of training, get back to work things, where it was like a minibus type, those kind of trailer training vehicles where they do training and everything. You turn up, there's all these kind of reprobates, and I'm in the back of this thing. And again, this guy, this sort of community support worker, whatever you call him, and I just remember him saying, he goes, again, it was that kind of blunt, brutal guy who obviously cared and knew the shit and was trying to motivate you. And he said, that Scottish kind of insecure, attitude of telling yourself you're crap and that humble kind of. I said, you've got to get rid of that. And I'm looking back going, that fucking helped me out, because it was like a guy speaking from the heart, basically saying, be proud of yourself, be brilliant. Tell yourself you're brilliant and go for it, So looking back, you go, all these kind of people that come into your life, you go, that fucking helped me get off my ass and do some shit, and I did some shit. So that's really pretty fucking cool, isn't it, when you think about it? And it's weird when you get older. You go, in some senses you feel like I'm still this little boy. In some senses I feel like I'm sort of a wee boy that needs somebody to do that, and there's nobody around, because you go, well, you're old enough and ugly enough to be able to do that yourself. But I kind of think as adults we all need a bit of that, like somebody telling you hard truths. Like my brother does that. He goes, oh, what are you fucking playing at? And then we joke about it. He sort of basically kicks me at the backside when I joke about the things that have gone wrong with the bike. He says, just fucking do it, and then do it, So it's really important to have mentors and people that give a shit, and not just like yes men, people that actually tell you when you're doing shit wrong. Why are you overtraining, Dave? Why are you doing this? Why are you not looking after your equipment? Why are you not, And so there you go, the value of mentors. Oh, and there's others as well. See, you fast forward, I'm not going to get into that, but because it just looks like, oh, look at me, I'm so brilliant, wow. Egotistical, oh, egomaniac. Nah, it's being proud of your achievements, because doing the kind of acting workshops, which is a kind of life, what do you call it? Life coaching / acting, confidence building, doing all that kind of thing. I did those after Outlaw King, and you go. But what's funny about doing some of these things, one of them I did in this intensive acting workshop for 6 days after doing Outlaw King and doing some other training. And it was all this, the first exercise to get it to loosen us all up, and it was this motivational thing. It was basically him saying we all had to do it. We're all standing in a circle, and we all had to do like our own version of a coach at half time, trying to like make the team come back. And just in the moment, it's all improvisation. And it's amazing the shit you come up with. And I just basically was like, come on, do or die, risk versus reward. The gist is, it was kind of, doing my own version of kind of like, Al Pacino in Any Given Sunday, doing something like that, but doing my version of it. And you go, see it at that event, I was like, fucking hell, look how far I've come, because I'm able to do this in front of people I've never met and perform and do all this shit. And a guy taking a class, obviously, he's another kind of guy telling you to up your game, and, you know, a kind of coach, trainer thing. So coach, trainer, mentor, guru, that kind of thing, the value of that, it's pretty invaluable. And of course, when you do a job in a kitchen for, going back in the day, working in a restaurant, there were other people like that as well. They told you to get a grip. And quite amazing really when you look at the fucking journey and you go, yeah, 4 years at the bistro, and the fucking number of cool people you'd meet there, all learning off each other. And that's interesting. When I was at Team Effort, moving off topic a wee bit, but in a sense it's the same thing, about like it took Callum from A Bike Shop, Richard and my brother, and Rachel from Halfords. It was a team effort to fix my bike the other day at Halfords. I was chatting to Rachel, picking her brains to see the shit I learned, just dipping into that knowledge, and I think I gave her some positive stuff as well. So it's really quite, you know, bonding, giving it a bit more, being a bit more kind of caring about, you know, various things and getting out there. I realise how much I've not been getting out enough, and that's not my fault, it's the pandemic really, but you know, I'm making up for it now. And Rachel was talking about, because I was talking about this other bike shop, and I said, oh, is he very good? And she's going, oh, no, really, he doesn't really, he just does it on his own. And she impressed me so much. She's amazing. Slick. Rachel from Halfords. If you're ever getting your bike done, get her to do it. And because Ian, mechanic, works at Halfords, and he was the go-to man back in the day, mechanic, and now he's working at Halfords, juggling all these different plates and doing stuff and going the extra mile for the customers. Even. But the point about this is, she was saying that, I was asking her about how she got trained up to be a mechanic and blah, 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 and she was working with Ian and a wee team of class people at Halfords. It's amazing how Halfords has grown from the way it used to be when I was growing up, because now the products are a lot better. When you go in there, I love going into Halfords because Rachel and Ian are the shit, and also that wee Harris guy that's got all the KOMs and Strava, all the first place spots in some of those hill segments, right? He worked there. And he's another class little talented cyclist, you know. And so the point I'm making is, all these people, all these class talented able people, bringing out the best in each other, learning off each other, so I teach you what I know and vice versa, and then the whole knowledge of the whole thing gets better. And that only happens when when you do have mentors, and when you drop the pride and you go, oh, I don't know it all. That's the problem with some of these folk, some of these shops that are just working on their own. They've got this miserable face, you know, working on their own the whole time. They need to drop their pride, get out there in the world, mix with folk, work with other people. It's the same with chefs, isn't it? Like watching Gordon Ramsay back in the day. There's another one, Gordon Ramsay. I look back and I go, that fucking guy helped me. Sitting watching Gordon Ramsay on the telly, and he'd say stuff like, work as a fucking team, and, you know, work as a team, and he'd be like, tell them, obviously it's dramatised a bit, but a lot of that was kind of motivational, get off your backside. And one of the things he said was like, that's how you get better, working with all these different people. And that's why the chefs move around, and they want to learn. So I don't want to let myself go. Because I'm working a job where I'm only working with my brother and my sister-in-law, sorry. So, but you do meet folk, you do meet some folk, but the importance of teamwork, the importance of mentors in developing, and that's quite interesting, isn't it? And now I'm at the point where I'm going, in terms of the bike, right? So if I'm doing this bike thing, I'm trying to enter some of these competitions. What I'm realising about the bike thing, in order to improve, I can't just be going out on my own the whole time. I was at A Bike Shop, even just going into A Bike Shop, right? And standing next to Callum, who was fixing my bike. This is another amazing stuff. The amount of talented, amazing, brilliant, able, inspiring people that I don't realise are around you, right under your nose. a bike shop, Callum, fixing my bike. When I go in there, all I need to do is stand 2 meters away from him. I feel like my mojo's just increased by like 1,000% just being in the guy's company. I was picking his brains about Descend and everything. I picked up the newspaper and page 2 was him. And I thought this was current, but no, it was a previous one where he had years ago won the World Downhill Masters Championship. And it's just, again, just being there. And I was telling him about the Gralic thing that I did, and you see the other folk around. I recognise a few faces there, but getting amongst it. You only, stronger, better. You can't just do things on your own. You need mentors. And even though this is the other thing, even though I'm like middle-aged man, right, and I do know some shit, and I still feel that I've got good fitness to come, right, even at this age, believe it or not. You still go, I need to be learning from other people, even if it's folk half my age, and I do that all the time. I love learning from other people. That's what it's all about. They can become mentors. Because the number of people I saw at this racing thing, at this race in Gatehouse before, I was talking to everybody. And just, no try to use them for knowledge, just having fun as well. But it's amazing the things folks say. This guy was talking about, oh yeah, a lot of times the middle-aged guys are the ones challenging for the overall in some of these groups, because again, experience, but blah blah blah. So there's always stuff to learn, is my point, and the value of mentors, or not even mentors. Sometimes it's peers as well, isn't it? The stuff you can learn from peers, getting out there amongst different folk. And then the reason why I'm talking about this stuff, because I'm no sitting on top of a mountain with my legs crossed, all enlightened, like I've got all this shit together. I'm talking about it, talking to myself and saying, Dave, I think you need to be kind of like getting out your comfort zone a bit more and getting out there a bit more, doing these group rides, go to the club, mixing a bit more, finding out who I can go riding with, not just talking to Ross at the Frothy Bike, not just talking to him, which is brilliant as in and of itself, but maybe if we go again, they'll start inviting me out with the other guys, and I can, it's cool. It's all a fucking team effort, and then you get better, then you get better doing shit on your own, do you? That's